I still remember the sound of his laughter, sharp, cruel, echoing across our dining room like shattered glass. That's the moment everything changed. That's the moment I realized the man I'd built a life with had been quietly destroying me for years, and I'd been too in love, too hopeful, too stupid to see it. But before I tell you what happened that night, before I tell you about the woman who stood up at our dinner party and said the words that would burn my entire world down, I need you to understand how I got there. Because this isn't just a story about revenge. It's about survival. It's about realizing that the people you trust the most are sometimes the ones holding the knife. If you're watching this from somewhere in the world right now, drop a comment and let me know where you are. And if you've ever felt invisible in your own life, like I did, you're going to want to hear what comes next. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, because trust me, you won't want to miss how this ends. And check the description box below for more stories like this one. Stories about women who refuse to stay silent. My name is Elena Hartley. I'm 34 years old, and up until 6 months ago, I thought I had everything figured out. I was married to a man named Trevor, tall, charming, successful in commercial real estate. We lived in a beautiful craftsman home in Portland, Oregon, the kind with hardwood floors and a wraparound porch that made all our neighbors jealous. We hosted dinner parties. We had a joint Instagram account. We looked *perfect star. But here's what nobody knew. I came into that marriage as a single mother. My daughter, Lily, was 3 years old when I met Trevor. Her biological father, a guy named Evan, had walked out on us when I was 7 months pregnant. Just vanished. No explanation, no child support, nothing. I raised Lily alone for 3 years, working double shifts as a paralegal, living in a cramped apartment, surviving on ramen and willpower. I was exhausted, broke, and terrified. But I loved her more than anything in this world. When Trevor came into my life, he seemed like a miracle. He didn't run when I told him about Lily. He said he admired my strength. He said he wanted to be part of our lives. He even teared up the first time Lily called him Daddy. I thought I'd finally gotten my happily ever after. We got married 2 years later. Small ceremony, just family and close friends. Trevor legally adopted Lily. I cried through the whole thing. I thought we were a real family. I was wrong. The cracks started small. Comments here and there. "You're lucky I took you on," he'd say after an argument. Not a lot of guys would have signed up for another man's kid. I'd brush it off. Tell myself he was just venting. That marriage was hard. That I was being too sensitive. But the comments got sharper. More frequent. Especially around his friends. Trevor had this tight circle, his college buddies, his brother Kyle, his parents. They were old money, the kind of people who summered in the Hamptons and had opinions about which country clubs were acceptable. I was never quite good enough for them. Not polished enough. Not pedigreed enough. And the fact that I'd been a single mom? That was the scarlet letter I could never remove. Still, I tried. God, I tried. I hosted their dinner parties. I laughed at their jokes. I kept my mouth shut when Trevor's mother, Catherine, made passive-aggressive comments about Lily's table manners or my humble upbringing. I played the role of the grateful wife who'd married up. And that's exactly what led to the night that destroyed everything. It was a Saturday in late April. We were hosting one of our quarterly dinner parties, the kind Trevor loved because it made him feel important. 12 people crammed around our dining table, his parents, his brother Kyle and Kyle's wife Vanessa, his best friend Joel and Joel's girlfriend Amber, my uncle Dennis, the only family I had, and 4 of Trevor's work colleagues. And then there was her. Her name was Natalie Brennan. Mid-20s, stunning in that effortless way that made you feel like you were trying too hard. She worked with Trevor, some kind of marketing consultant his firm had brought in for a big project. Trevor had mentioned her a few times, always casually. "Natalie's got some great ideas." Natalie really saved our asses on the Riverside deal. I didn't think anything of it. Not until that night. Natalie arrived late, apologizing in this breathy, charming way that made everyone smile. She wore a black dress that probably cost more than my car payment. Trevor pulled out the chair next to him for her. I was at the other end of the table, playing hostess, making sure everyone's wine glasses were full. I should have known something was wrong. The way he leaned toward her when she spoke. The way she laughed at his jokes, loud, performative, like she wanted everyone to notice. But I was too busy running back and forth to the kitchen, too focused on making sure the roast didn't dry out and the conversation kept flowing. That's when it happened. Someone, I think it was Joel, made a joke about parenting. Something about how exhausting kids were. And Trevor, 3 glasses of wine deep, leaned back in his chair and said, "Man, I hope I never become a single dad." The table went quiet for a second. Then Trevor grinned, like he'd just told the funniest joke in the world. And my husband, my husband burst out laughing. Not a polite chuckle. A full, gut-deep laugh. Like the idea of being a single parent was the most absurd, pitiful thing he could imagine. I felt my face go hot. My hands froze on the serving spoon I was holding. And then my Uncle Dennis, the man who'd helped me move into my first apartment, who'd babysat Lily when I couldn't afford daycare, who knew exactly what I'd been through, he leaned forward and said, "Men don't want used products." He said it like it was a fact. Like it was common sense. And he was looking right at me. The room erupted in laughter. Not everyone. Amber looked uncomfortable, and Vanessa glanced at me with something like pity, but enough. Trevor's dad, Richard, was chuckling behind his napkin. Catherine had this tight little smile, like she'd been waiting years to hear someone say it out loud. Even Kyle was grinning. I stood there, frozen, holding a bowl of mashed potatoes, and I wanted to disappear. To melt into the floor. To cease to exist. But I didn't move. I just stood there, smiling, like I always did. Like I was in on the joke. And that's when Natalie stood up. She'd been quiet all night, laughing at Trevor's jokes, sipping her wine, blending into the background. But now she pushed her chair back, and the scraping sound cut through the laughter like a gunshot. Everyone looked at her. She walked over to me, slowly, deliberately, and stopped right in front of me. Close enough that I could smell her perfume. Something expensive. Floral. She looked at me, and then she turned to face the table. "I think they should know something," she said. Her voice was calm. Steady. But there was something underneath it, something sharp and dangerous. The room fell silent. I mean silent. The kind of silence where you can hear your own heartbeat pounding in your ears. Trevor's smile faltered. "Natalie." She held up a hand, cutting him off. And then she looked back at me, and I swear to God, I saw something in her eyes. Something that looked almost like regret? Guilt? "Elena," she said softly, "I'm so sorry." And that's when I knew. I don't know how I knew. Maybe it was the way Trevor's face went white. Maybe it was the way Natalie's hands were shaking. Maybe it was just instinct, the way you know a storm is coming before the first raindrop falls. But I knew. And I knew my life was about to implode. Natalie didn't sit back down. She stayed standing, right there in front of me, and I could feel the weight of everyone's eyes like a physical thing pressing against my skin. Trevor stood up so fast his chair nearly tipped over. "Natalie, what the hell are you doing?" She didn't look at him. She kept her eyes on me. And when she spoke, her voice was quiet but clear, clear enough that every single person at that table heard her. "I've been sleeping with your husband for 8 months." The words hung in the air like smoke. For a moment, nobody moved. Nobody breathed. And then the room exploded. Catherine gasped. Richard started to say something but stopped. Kyle's mouth fell open. My Uncle Dennis, the man who just called me a used product, looked like he'd been slapped. Amber grabbed Joel's arm. Vanessa whispered, "Oh my God." But I didn't hear any of it. Not really. Because all I could hear was the roaring in my ears, the sound of my entire world collapsing in on itself. "Elena," Trevor started, his voice panicked, pleading. Elena, I can explain. Explain. I heard myself say. My voice sounded strange, distant, like it was coming from someone else. You want to explain, He took a step toward me, hands raised like I was a wild animal he needed to calm. It's not what you think. It's complicated. Natalie laughed. It was a bitter, broken sound. Complicated, she repeated. That's one word for it. Shut up, Trevor hissed at her. Just shut up. But Natalie wasn't done. She turned back to the table, and I realized she wasn't here to destroy me. She was here to destroy him. You want to know what's complicated, she said, her voice rising. I'll tell you. Trevor told me his marriage was a mistake. That he only married Elena because he felt sorry for her. That she trapped him by already having a kid. He said he was going to leave her as soon as Lily turned 10, so he wouldn't look like the bad guy walking out on a little kid. I felt my knees buckle. Someone, Vanessa, maybe, reached out to steady me, but I jerked away. That's a lie, Trevor said, but his voice cracked. Natalie, you're insane. I have texts, Natalie interrupted. She pulled out her phone, swiped through it, and held it up. Do you want me to read them? Because I will. I'll read every single message where you called your wife pathetic. Where you joked about her baggage. Where you said you were only staying for the optics. Trevor lunged for the phone, but Joel stood up and blocked him. Dude, don't. Stay out of this, Trevor snarled. But Joel didn't move. And neither did anyone else. Natalie lowered her phone. Her hands were shaking now, and when she looked at me again, there were tears in her eyes. I didn't know, she whispered. Not at first. He told me you two were separated. That you were living separate lives. And I believed him. I'm an idiot, but I believed him. She wiped her eyes, smearing her mascara. But then I saw you two together. At that charity gala last month. You were laughing, holding his hand. You looked happy. And I realized he'd been lying to me the whole time. I remembered that gala. Trevor had been so attentive that night. He danced with me, introduced me to his colleagues, kissed me in front of everyone. I'd thought we were finally getting back on track. He'd been performing. For her. Why? I asked. My voice was barely a whisper. Why are you telling me this now? Natalie looked at Trevor, and the disgust on her face was palpable. Because tonight, I realized what kind of man he really is. Sitting there, laughing at you. Letting his family mock you. And I thought, her voice broke. I thought, if he can do this to you, what the hell was he doing to me? She turned back to me. I'm sorry, Elena. I know that doesn't fix anything. I know I'm part of the reason your life is falling apart. But you deserve to know the truth. The silence that followed was suffocating. And then Trevor did the worst possible thing. He tried to flip the script. You know what, he said, his voice cold now. Yeah. I cheated. You want to crucify me for it? Fine. But let's not pretend you're some innocent victim here, Elena. I stared at him. What? You've been checked out for years, he said. Always exhausted. Always focused on Lily. When was the last time you actually paid attention to me? I felt something inside me snap. I was raising our daughter. Our daughter. The one you adopted. The one you promised to love. She's not mine, Trevor shot back. And the room went silent again, but this time it was different. This time it was the kind of silence that comes before something breaks. What did you just say? I asked. Trevor's jaw tightened. You heard me. She's not mine. She's that deadbeat who knocked you up and left. I'm just the guy who was stupid enough to clean up his mess. My Uncle Dennis stood up. Trevor. No, I said, cutting him off. I looked at Dennis, and all the rage I'd been swallowing for years came pouring out. You don't get to defend me now. Not after what you said. Not after you sat there and called me a *used product* in front of everyone. Dennis's face went red. Elena, I didn't mean. Yes, you did, I said. You meant every word. You all did. I looked around the table. At Trevor's parents, who'd never thought I was good enough. At Kyle and Vanessa, who'd laughed along with the jokes. At Trevor's colleagues, who were now staring at their plates like they wished they could vanish. And then I looked at Trevor. The man I'd loved. The man I'd trusted. The man who'd just called my daughter a mess he'd cleaned up. Get out, I said. He blinked. What? Get out. My voice was steady now. Cold. All of you. Get out of my house. Elena, let's just calm down, Catherine started. Now, I said. And maybe it was the look on my face, or maybe it was the fact that they all knew they'd crossed a line they couldn't uncross, but they moved. Slowly at first, then faster. Gathering coats, mumbling awkward goodbyes, avoiding my eyes. Trevor was the last to leave. He stood in the doorway, and for a second, I thought he might apologize. Might say something, anything, that would make this hurt less. Instead, he said, "You'll regret this." And then he was gone. The house was silent. Just me and Natalie, standing in the wreckage of my life. She picked up her purse. "I really am sorry," she said. I didn't respond. I couldn't. She walked to the door, hesitated, then turned back. "For what it's worth. You deserve so much better than him." And then she left too. I stood there in my empty dining room, surrounded by half-eaten food and half-full wine glasses, and I felt nothing. Not sadness. Not anger. Just a vast, hollow emptiness. And then, slowly, something else started to creep in. Something that felt a lot like rage. If you've ever had your world turned upside down in a single moment, you know what I'm talking about. And if you're still here, still listening, thank you. Hit that like button if this story is hitting home. Because trust me, this is just the beginning. Check the description box below for more stories like this. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Trevor's face. The sneer when he said Lily wasn't his, the laughter when he mocked single parents, the panic when Natalie exposed him. I kept replaying it all in my head, over and over, like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Around 3 a.m., I gave up on sleep and went to check on Lily. She was at a sleepover at her best friend Mia's house. Thank God. Thank God she hadn't been there to witness her entire family imploding at a dinner party. But she'd have to know eventually. She'd have to know that the man she called Dad had been lying to us both. I sat on her bed, surrounded by her stuffed animals and her drawings taped to the walls, and I cried. Not the pretty, delicate kind of crying you see in movies. The ugly, choking, snotty kind that leaves you gasping for air. I cried for her. For the little girl who thought she finally had a father who wanted her. I cried for myself. For the woman who'd believed in second chances and fresh starts. And I cried because I didn't know what the hell I was going to do next. By sunrise, the tears had stopped. And in their place was something else. Something cold and hard and sharp. Trevor had humiliated me. In front of his family. In front of his friends. In front of my own uncle, who'd sat there and agreed with every cruel word. He'd made me feel small. Worthless. Like I should be grateful he'd lowered himself to marry damaged goods. But here's the thing about being underestimated. It gives you power. Because people who think you're weak, who think you're pathetic, who think you'll just roll over and take it, they never see you coming. I made coffee. Strong, black, the kind that burns going down. And then I sat at my kitchen table, the same table where, 12 hours ago, my life had been destroyed, and I started making a list. Not a to-do list. A asterisk revenge asterisk list. I know how that sounds. Petty. Vindictive. Maybe even a little unhinged. But I didn't care. Trevor had spent 8 months betraying me. He'd let his family mock me. He'd called my daughter a mess. He wanted a war. Fine. He'd get one. But I had to be smart about it. Calculated. Because Trevor had money, connections, a lawyer on retainer. If I went after him guns blazing, I'd lose. I'd end up broke, alone, and he'd spin the whole thing to make me look like the villain. No. I needed to play the long game. First, I needed information. Everything Natalie had said last night, the texts, the timeline, the lies Trevor had told, I needed proof. Because in a divorce, proof is everything. I grabbed my laptop and started digging. Trevor wasn't exactly tech-savvy. He used the same password for everything, K2 Summit 04. He'd climbed K2 in 2004 and never shut up about it. I tried it on his iCloud account. It worked. Suddenly, I had access to everything. His emails, his texts, his photos, his entire digital life, laid out in front of me like a roadmap to his destruction. And oh my God, there was so much. Messages to Natalie. Hundreds of them. Trevor complaining about me, about our marriage, about Lily. Him saying he was stuck with me because leaving would look bad for his career. Him joking with his friends about his charity case wife. There were messages to his brother Kyle, too. The two of them mocking me behind my back. Laughing about how I tried so hard to fit in with their family. Kyle calling me desperate. There were emails to his lawyer, dated 6 months ago, asking about the best way to file for divorce without losing assets. Asking about custody laws for adopted children. He'd been planning this for months. And I'd had no idea. I downloaded everything. Every message, every email, every photo. I saved it all to an external hard drive and then a cloud backup. Evidence. Insurance. Then I kept digging. Trevor's bank statements showed regular withdrawals, cash, always cash, that didn't match up with anything I knew about. 1,000 here, 1,500 there. Over 8 months, it added up to nearly $30,000. I cross-referenced the dates with his calendar. Every withdrawal happened right before or after a business trip. He'd been taking Natalie on trips. Expensive ones. Hotels in San Francisco, wine country weekends, a 5-day trip to Hawaii. All on our money. Money I'd helped earn, since we had joint accounts. I felt my hands start to shake, not from fear this time, but from pure, white-hot rage. He'd stolen from me. From us. To wine and dine his mistress. I took screenshots of everything. Then I found something else. Something I wasn't expecting. An email from Trevor to his dad, Richard, dated 3 weeks ago. The subject line was the Elena problem. I clicked it open, my heart pounding. Dad. I know you and Mom have never been thrilled about Elena, and honestly, you were right. I thought I could make it work, but I can't do this anymore. She's dragging me down. The single mom baggage, the constant need for validation, the way she just doesn't fit with our family, it's exhausting. I've been seeing someone else. Someone who actually gets me. Someone who doesn't come with a kid attached. I want out, but I need to do this carefully. I can't have Elena taking me to the cleaners or making me look like the bad guy. Can we talk strategy? I need your advice. T. Richard's response was even worse. Son. I understand your frustration. Your mother and I worried about this from the beginning. A woman with a child from another man is always going to have divided loyalties. You deserve better. As for strategy, document everything. Keep records of any time Elena is difficult or unreasonable. If she has any mental health struggles, document those too. Build a case that paints you as the stable, responsible party. When you file, go for full custody of any shared assets and minimal alimony. We'll support you however you need. Asterisk you made a mistake, Trevor. But you can fix it. Asterisk. Asterisk, Dad asterisk. I read it 3 times, just to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. They'd been planning this together. Trevor and his father. Strategizing how to destroy me, how to take everything, how to make sure I walked away with nothing. And they'd been doing it for weeks. I sat back, staring at the screen, and something inside me shifted. The hurt, the betrayal, the humiliation, it was all still there. But it was buried now, under something much stronger. Determination. Trevor thought I was weak. He thought I'd roll over, take whatever scraps he decided to throw me, and disappear quietly. He had no idea who he was dealing with. I closed the laptop and picked up my phone. I needed help. Real help. Someone who knew how to fight dirty, who wouldn't flinch at what I was about to do. I scrolled through my contacts and stopped on a name I hadn't called in years, Jenna Ortiz. Jenna and I had been roommates in college. She'd gone on to become a divorce attorney, one of the best in Portland, known for absolutely destroying cheating spouses in court. She was ruthless, brilliant, and terrifying. Exactly what I needed. I sent her a text. Jenna, it's Elena. I need your help. Trevor cheated. I have proof. I want to bury him. Can we meet? She responded in under a minute. Holy shit. Yes. My office, Monday morning, 9 a.m. Bring everything. I set the phone down and exhaled slowly. This was happening. This was really happening. Trevor wanted to make me disappear? Fine. But he'd disappear first. You're still here. That means you're invested. That means you want to see how this ends. So do me a favor, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and check the description box below for more stories about women who refuse to be broken. Because this story? It's about to get even more intense. Monday morning came too fast and too slow at the same time. I barely slept the entire weekend, running on caffeine and adrenaline, combing through every file, every photo, every message. By the time I walked into Jenna's office, I had a folder thick enough to choke on and a USB drive loaded with enough evidence to ruin Trevor's life 10 times over. Jenna's office was in a sleek high-rise downtown, all glass and steel and intimidation. The kind of place that made you feel like serious business happened here. Her assistant, a young guy with perfectly styled hair and a killer smile, ushered me into a conference room and offered me coffee. I accepted. I needed it. Jenna walked in 5 minutes later, and I swear, she looked exactly the same as she had in college. Sharp blazer, impossibly high heels, dark hair pulled back in a tight bun. But her eyes, those were different. Harder. Like she'd seen every kind of human ugliness and stopped being surprised by it years ago. She closed the door behind her, sat down across from me, and folded her hands on the table. All right, Elena. Tell me everything. So I did. I told her about the dinner party, about Natalie's confession, about Trevor's reaction. I told her about the emails, the texts, the bank statements. I laid it all out, piece by piece, until the table between us was covered in printed documents and screenshots. Jenna didn't interrupt. She just listened, her expression unreadable, occasionally jotting down notes. When I finished, she sat back and let out a low whistle. Okay, she said. First of all, I'm so sorry. This is beyond awful. Yeah, I said, my voice flat. It is. But second, she continued, a slow smile spreading across her face, you've handed me a gold mine. Elena, this is the kind of case I dream about. The kind where I get to absolutely eviscerate someone in court. I felt a flicker of hope. So you can help me. Help you? Jenna laughed. Honey, I'm going to destroy him. By the time I'm done, Trevor's going to wish he'd never met you. She leaned forward, her eyes gleaming. Here's what we're going to do. Oregon is a no-fault divorce state, which means technically, infidelity doesn't matter for the divorce itself. But it matters for everything else. Custody, alimony, asset division. Judges don't like cheaters, and they especially don't like cheaters who drain joint accounts to fund their affairs. She tapped the bank statements. This is embezzlement. He stole marital assets to pay for his mistress. That's not just unethical, Elena. It's illegal. My heart started pounding. So what do? We file for divorce immediately, Jenna said. We cite irreconcilable differences, but we attach all of this as evidence. We show the judge exactly what kind of man Trevor is. We go after full custody of Lily. Yes, I know he adopted her, but trust me, no judge is going to give custody to a man who called his daughter a mess he cleaned up. She flipped through the documents. And then we go after money. We calculate every dollar he spent on Natalie, and we make him pay it back, with interest. We go after alimony, child support, and we make sure you walk away with at least half of everything. The house, his retirement accounts, his stock options. All of it. I felt tears prick my eyes, but this time they weren't from sadness. They were from relief. Can we really do that? I asked. Jenna smiled. Watch me. The next 2 weeks were a blur. Jenna moved fast, faster than I'd thought possible. She filed the divorce papers, served Trevor at his office, a deliberate choice, to maximize his humiliation, and immediately froze our joint accounts so he couldn't drain them. Trevor's response was predictable, rage. He called me 30 times in the first 24 hours. When I didn't answer, he showed up at the house. I changed the locks. He banged on the door, shouting about how I was being ridiculous, how we could work this out, how I was ruining everything. I called the police. They escorted him off the property and told him not to come back. He hired a lawyer. Expensive, aggressive, the kind of guy who wore cufflinks and had a reputation for winning at all costs. His name was Douglas Mercer, and according to Jenna, he was a soulless shark. Perfect, Jenna said when I told her. I love crushing soulless sharks. Trevor's strategy became clear quickly. Paint me as unstable, unfit, vindictive. His lawyer filed a motion claiming I** was the one alienating Lily from Trevor, that I was manipulating her, that I was emotionally abusive. It was absurd. Lily was 8 years old. She'd been at a sleepover the night of the dinner party. She didn't even know what had happened yet. But Trevor didn't care about the truth. He cared about winning. Jenna filed a countermotion, attaching the Elena problem email and Trevor's texts about Lily. She highlighted every instance where Trevor had referred to Lily as not his, where he complained about her, where he joked about leaving once she was old enough that it wouldn't look bad. The judge scheduled a preliminary hearing. The hearing was in early May, in a stuffy courtroom that smelled like old wood and desperation. Trevor sat on one side with Douglas Mercer, looking polished and confident in a navy suit. I sat on the other side with Jenna, my hands shaking despite the Xanax I'd taken that morning. Lily was with my neighbor, a sweet older woman named Diane who'd watched her grow up. I didn't want Lily anywhere near this. The judge, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s named Judge Patricia Hollis, called the court to order and got straight to business. Douglas Mercer stood up first, launching into a speech about how I was weaponizing the divorce, how I was keeping Lily from Trevor out of spite, how Trevor was a devoted father who'd been blindsided by my sudden filing. Jenna stood up next. And oh my God, she was magnificent. Your Honor, she said, her voice calm but lethal. Mr. Hartley's attorney would like you to believe this is a case of a vindictive ex-wife. But the evidence tells a very different story. She handed the judge a binder. This contains 8 months of text messages between Mr. Hartley and his mistress, Natalie Brennan. In these messages, Mr. Hartley repeatedly refers to his wife as pathetic, baggage, and a mistake. He also refers to his adopted daughter, an 8-year-old child, as not his problem and a mess he cleaned up. Judge Hollis's eyebrows shot up. She started flipping through the binder. Additionally, Jenna continued, we have documented proof that Mr. Hartley embezzled nearly $30,000 from joint marital accounts to fund vacations, gifts, and hotel stays with Ms. Brennan. He did this without my client's knowledge or consent. She handed over the bank statements. We also have an email exchange between Mr. Hartley and his father, in which they discuss strategies to minimize my client's claims in the divorce and paint her as unstable. Judge Hollis looked up, her expression stony. Mr. Mercer, would you like to respond? Douglas Mercer looked like he'd been punched. He stammered something about context and misunderstandings, but it was weak. Everyone in that courtroom could see it. Judge Hollis held up a hand. I've seen enough. Here's my preliminary ruling. Joint assets remain frozen. Mr. Hartley is prohibited from withdrawing any funds without court approval. Temporary custody of the minor child, Lily Hartley, is granted to Mrs. Hartley. Mr. Hartley may have supervised visitation, pending a full custody evaluation. Trevor's face went white. Furthermore, Judge Hollis continued, given the evidence of asset dissipation, I'm ordering Mr. Hartley to repay the $30,000 to the marital estate within 30 days. She looked directly at Trevor. Mr. Hartley, I suggest you take this process very seriously. Because if I find that you've continued to behave recklessly or dishonestly, I will not hesitate to rule against you. Understood. Trevor nodded mutely. Good. We'll reconvene in 60 days for a full hearing. Court adjourned. The gavel came down. Jenna turned to me, grinning. That, she said, is what we call a win. I exhaled for what felt like the first time in weeks. Trevor stormed out of the courtroom without looking at me. But as he passed, I caught his eye. And I smiled. ***, if you've ever wanted to see justice served, real, satisfying, beautiful justice, keep watching. Because this is only the beginning of Trevor's downfall. Hit that like button and check the description box below for more stories like this. ***. You'd think after that hearing, things would start to settle. That Trevor would lick his wounds, accept reality, and would move through the divorce like civilized adults. You'd be wrong. Trevor doubled down. He started a smear campaign, subtle at first, then increasingly desperate. He told his colleagues I was mentally unstable. He told his family I was trying to steal his money. He even posted vague things on social media about toxic people and playing the victim. His friends rallied around him. Kyle posted a photo of them at a bar with the caption "Real ones stick together." His mother, Catherine, called me twice, not to apologize, but to tell me I was destroying the family and that I should think of Lily and drop the divorce. The audacity was breathtaking. But here's what Trevor didn't count on. I wasn't alone anymore. Jenna was a pit bull in Prada, and she had a network of people who owed her favors. Private investigators, forensic accountants, therapists who specialized in custody evaluations. She was building a case so airtight that Trevor wouldn't be able to breathe, let alone escape. And then, 3 weeks after the preliminary hearing, I got a phone call that changed everything. It was from Natalie. I almost didn't answer. Her name flashed on my screen, and my first instinct was to hit decline. What could she possibly have to say to me? She'd already blown up my life. What more was there? But something made me pick up. Maybe curiosity. Maybe masochism. Maybe just the hope that she had more dirt on Trevor that I could use. "Hello," I said, my voice cold. There was a pause. Then, "Elena. It's Natalie. I know you probably don't want to talk to me. But I need to tell you something. It's important." I sat down on my couch, my heart starting to race. "I'm listening." She took a shaky breath. "Trevor's been calling me. A lot. Ever since the divorce was filed. He's trying to get me to lie for him." My blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" "He wants me to say that the affair was my idea. That I seduced him. That he tried to end it multiple times but I wouldn't let him go. He's been offering me money. $15,000 if I sign an affidavit saying he's a good guy who made a mistake. I felt my hands ball into fists. Are you going to do it? No, Natalie said immediately. God, no. That's why I'm calling you. I wanted you to know what he's doing. And I wanted to help. I didn't trust her. Not completely. But I also knew that having Natalie on my side, or at least not actively working against me, was better than the alternative. Why? I asked. Why do you want to help me? There was a long silence. When she spoke again, her voice was thick with emotion. Because I've been thinking about that night. About what your uncle said. About the way Trevor laughed. And I realized, he didn't just do this to you, Elena. He did it to me too. What do you mean? He told me he loved me, she said. He told me we were going to be together. He made me believe I was special, that I was different from you, that I was what he'd been looking for his whole life. And then the second things got complicated. The second I became a liability instead of a fantasy, he dropped me. Just cut me off completely. Her voice broke. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I know what I did. I slept with a married man. I helped him betray you. But I didn't know the whole story. And now that I do, I can't let him get away with this. I closed my eyes. Part of me wanted to hate her. Part of me did hate her. But another part, the part that had spent years being manipulated by Trevor, being made to feel small and worthless and lucky just to be tolerated, that part understood. What do you want to do? I asked. I want to testify, Natalie said. In court. I'll tell them everything. The timeline, the lies he told me about you, the money he spent, the trips we took. All of it. I'll be a witness for you. I sat up straighter. You'd really do that? Yes, she said. But there's something else. Something I didn't tell you that night at the dinner party. My stomach dropped. What? Natalie hesitated. Trevor's been planning this divorce for a lot longer than 6 months. He talked about it with me from the beginning. He said he was going to wait until Lily was older so he wouldn't look bad, but then he met me and decided to accelerate the timeline. He wanted to leave you for me. I know, I said bitterly. I found the emails. But what you don't know, Natalie continued, is that he was setting you up. He was documenting things, taking photos of the house when it was messy, recording you when you were stressed or yelling at Lily, keeping a journal about every time you were unreasonable or difficult. He was building a case to prove you were an unfit mother. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. He what? He showed me the journal once, Natalie said. He thought it was funny. He called it his insurance policy. He said if you ever tried to leave him or take him to court, he'd use it to get full custody of Lily and make sure you didn't get a dime. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. Trevor had been planning this, not for months, but for years. Every argument, every bad day, every moment when I'd been exhausted or overwhelmed or less than perfect, he'd been weaponizing it. Do you know where the journal is? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. I think he keeps it in his office, Natalie said. In his desk. Bottom drawer, locked. But Elena. What? Be careful. Trevor's not who you think he is. He's not just a cheater. He's cruel. And he's dangerous when he's cornered. The line went quiet for a moment. Thank you, I finally said. For telling me. I'm sorry, Natalie whispered. For everything. She hung up. I sat there, staring at my phone, my mind racing. Trevor had a journal. Physical evidence of his plan to destroy me. If I could get my hands on it. I called Jenna. She answered on the first ring. Tell me you have good news. Better, I said. Natalie just called. She wants to testify against Trevor. And she told me he's been keeping a journal, Documentation of everything he's been using to build a case against me. Jenna went silent for a beat. Then, where's the journal? His office. Bottom drawer of his desk. Can you get into his office? I thought about it. Trevor was staying at his brother Kyle's house while the divorce was pending. But his office, the one in our house, the one he'd used for years, that was still full of his stuff. He hadn't cleaned it out yet because the court had ordered both of us to leave all marital assets untouched until the final hearing. Yeah, I said. I can get in. It's in my house. Then get that journal, Jenna said. Tonight. Before he realizes Natalie's flipped on him and goes back to destroy the evidence. Take photos of every page. Get it back in the drawer exactly as you found it. And Elena. Yeah. Don't get caught. I waited until midnight. Lily was asleep upstairs, and I'd asked Diane to stay over just in case. I told her I had insomnia and didn't want to be alone in the house. She didn't ask questions. Trevor's office was on the first floor, a small room with built-in bookshelves and a mahogany desk he'd inherited from his grandfather. I stood in the doorway, staring at it, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst out of my chest. This was insane. I was breaking into my own husband's desk like some kind of spy. But I thought about Lily, about the journal, about Trevor's plan to take her away from me, to paint me as unstable, to erase me from my own life. I stepped inside. The desk drawer was locked, just like Natalie had said. But I knew where Trevor kept his keys, a small wooden box on the top shelf of his bookcase, hidden behind a row of legal thrillers he'd never actually read. I pulled down the box, found the key, and unlocked the drawer. And there it was. A black leather journal, worn at the edges, filled with Trevor's cramped handwriting. I pulled it out with shaking hands and opened it. The first entry was dated 3 years ago. 2 years into our marriage. Elena's getting clingy again. Always asking where I am, what I'm doing. It's exhausting. Starting to think this was a mistake. I kept reading. Lily threw a tantrum at dinner tonight. Elena just let her get away with it. No discipline. No boundaries. If we ever split, I'll need to document this kind of thing. And another. Elena's been in a bad mood all week. Snapped at me twice over nothing. Took a video just in case. There were dozens of entries. Hundreds. Maybe. Every bad moment, every argument, every time I'd been less than perfect. It was all there, written down, catalogued, saved as ammunition. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone steady as I took photos. But I did it. Every page, every word, every piece of evidence that Trevor had spent years planning to destroy me. When I finished, I put the journal back exactly where I'd found it, locked the drawer, replaced the key, and walked out of the office. I made it to the kitchen before my legs gave out. I sank to the floor, my back against the cabinets, and I cried. Not just for me, but for every woman who'd ever been married to a man like Trevor. A man who smiled to your face while sharpening the knife behind his back. But I also felt something else. Power. Because Trevor thought he was so smart. He thought his journal was his insurance policy, his secret weapon. He had no idea I'd found it. And he had no idea what I was about to do with it. If you've ever felt powerless and then found your strength, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Stay with me. We're getting to the good part. Hit subscribe and check the description below for more stories like this one. The next morning, I sent Jenna every photo I'd taken. All 247 pages of Trevor's twisted documentation. She called me within an hour, and I'd never heard her sound so excited. Elena, this is gold. Pure, uncut, courtroom gold. Really? I asked. I'd barely slept. My eyes were swollen from crying, and my coffee had gone cold in my hands. Really, Jenna said. What Trevor doesn't realize is that this journal doesn't make you look bad. It makes him look psychotic. Who keeps a multi-year journal documenting their spouse's every mistake? Who records their wife without her knowledge? Who plans a divorce like it's a military operation? Someone who wants to win, I said bitterly. Someone who's unhinged, Jenna corrected. And someone who's about to get obliterated in court. But we can't use this yet. We need to wait for the right moment. The final hearing. That's when we drop the bomb. What about the custody evaluation? I asked. The court had ordered a full custody evaluation, a process where a psychologist would interview both of us, observe us with Lily, and make a recommendation to the judge about custody arrangements. It was scheduled to start in 2 days. The custody evaluation is crucial, Jenna said. You need to be perfect. Calm, reasonable, stable. Show them you're the parent Lily needs. Can you do that? I thought about my daughter. About her gap-toothed smile and the way she sang off-key in the shower and the way she still crawled into bed with me when she had nightmares. Yes, I said. I can do that. The evaluator's name was Dr. Rebecca Cho, a child psychologist with 20 years of experience and a reputation for being fair but tough. She came to our house first, on a Wednesday afternoon. I'd cleaned obsessively. The house was spotless. Fresh flowers on the kitchen table. Lily's artwork displayed on the fridge. Everything carefully curated to look warm and stable and *normal. Dr. Cho was in her 50s, Asian American, with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. She shook my hand, introduced herself, and asked if we could sit and talk. Of course, I said, leading her to the living room. Can I get you anything? Coffee, tea, water. Water would be great, thank you. I brought her a glass and sat down across from her, my hands folded in my lap. Professional. Composed. Dr. Cho pulled out a notepad. So, Elena, tell me about your relationship with Lily. And I did. I told her about the bedtime stories and the weekend pancakes and the way Lily and I would dance in the kitchen while cooking dinner. I told her about how I'd been there for every scraped knee, every bad dream, every first day of school. I told her the truth. Lily was my entire world. Dr. Cho listened, taking notes, asking follow-up questions. Then she asked the harder ones. Tell me about your marriage. When did things start to fall apart? I took a breath. Honestly, I'm not sure. I think they were falling apart for a long time, but I didn't want to see it. Trevor always made me feel like I should be grateful. Grateful that he'd married me, that he'd adopted Lily, that he'd taken us on even though I had a child from a previous relationship. How did that make you feel? Small, I said. Like I owed him something. Like I could never do enough to make up for the fact that I wasn't perfect. Dr. Cho's expression softened. And when did you find out about the affair? I told her about the dinner party. About Natalie's confession. About Trevor's reaction. I didn't cry, I'd cried enough, but my voice shook when I talked about what he'd said about Lily. He called her a mess he cleaned up, I said. In front of everyone. She wasn't even there, thank God, but that's how he really sees her. As someone else's problem that he got stuck with. Dr. Cho wrote something down. How is Lily handling all of this? She knows we're getting divorced, I said. But she doesn't know about the affair. I told her that sometimes adults grow apart, and that it's not her fault. I've been trying to keep things as normal as possible for her. Has Trevor seen her since the separation? Supervised visits twice a week, I said. He shows up, takes her for ice cream, brings her back. He's polite, but distant. Like he's going through the motions. Dr. Cho nodded. I'll be observing one of those visits. And I'll be spending time alone with Lily, if that's all right with you. Of course, I said. She smiled. You're doing a good job, Elena. I can see how much you love your daughter. I felt tears prick my eyes, but I blinked them back. Thank you. The next day, Dr. Cho came back to spend time with Lily. I made myself scarce, went upstairs to fold laundry, giving them space. I could hear them talking, laughing. Lily showing off her room, her stuffed animals, her drawings. At one point, I heard Dr. Cho ask, "Who do you feel safest with?" And Lily, without hesitation, said, "My mom." I had to bite my lip to keep from crying. Trevor's evaluation was the following week. I wasn't there, obviously, but Jenna had connections and got me the unofficial rundown. Apparently, it didn't go well. Trevor showed up at his brother Kyle's house, where he was staying, and the place was a mess. Dishes in the sink, laundry everywhere, empty beer bottles on the coffee table. Not exactly the picture of stability. When Dr. Cho asked Trevor about his relationship with Lily, he gave vague, generic answers. "She's a great kid. We have fun together." Nothing specific. Nothing that showed he actually knew his daughter. And when Dr. Cho asked about the affair, Trevor tried to spin it. He said I'd pushed him away, that I'd been cold and distant, that he'd made a mistake but I was overreacting. He didn't mention the journal, of course. Or the emails. Or the fact that he'd been planning to leave me for years. But here's the thing, Dr. Cho was good at her job. She saw through him. 2 weeks later, Jenna got the preliminary evaluation report. She called me immediately. "Sit down." "Is it bad?" I asked, my heart racing. "It's beautiful," Jenna said. "Dr. Cho's recommending primary custody for you. Trevor gets standard visitation, every other weekend, 1 weeknight per week." She noted that Trevor seems emotionally disconnected from Lily and that you are the primary attachment figure. I felt like I could breathe for the first time in months. "Oh my God." "There's more," Jenna said. She also noted concerns about Trevor's lack of stable housing and his inability to articulate specific details about the child's daily routines, preferences, or needs. She basically called him a deadbeat without using those words. I laughed, a short, sharp sound that was half relief, half hysteria. "So we're going to win. We're going to destroy him," Jenna said. "But Elena, listen to me. Trevor's going to fight this. His lawyer's going to tear apart the evaluation, claim bias, try to discredit Dr. Cho. We need to be ready." "I'm ready," I said. And I meant it. But Trevor wasn't just going to fight in court. 3 days after the evaluation report came out, I got a call from Lily's school. It was the principal, Mrs. Gallagher. Her voice was tense. "Mrs. Hartley, I'm calling because we had an incident today." My blood ran cold. "Is Lily okay?" "She's fine," Mrs. Gallagher said quickly. But Mr. Hartley showed up during lunch and tried to take her out of school. I nearly dropped the phone. "What?" He claimed it was his custodial day and that he had permission to pick her up early. "But when we checked our records, there was no note from you, and today isn't one of his scheduled visitation days. We didn't release her, but he became agitated. We had to ask him to leave." My hands were shaking. "Did he threaten anyone?" "Not explicitly," Mrs. Gallagher said carefully. "But he was loud. Insistent. It made the staff uncomfortable. We've filed an incident report, and I wanted you to be aware." "Thank you," I said. "I'm coming to get her right now." I hung up and immediately called Jenna. "He tried to take Lily from school," I said, my voice shaking with rage. Jenna swore. "That idiot." "Okay, listen. We're filing an emergency motion for a restraining order. He's violated the custody arrangement. He's shown he's a flight risk. We're getting supervised visitation only, and we're making damn sure he doesn't get near Lily without a neutral third party present." "What if he tries again?" I asked. "He won't," Jenna said grimly, "because I'm about to make his life a living hell." That night, after I'd picked up Lily and made sure she was okay, she was confused but not scared. She thought Daddy just wanted to surprise her. I sat in my kitchen and felt the full weight of what was happening. Trevor wasn't just fighting for custody. He was coming after me. And if I didn't stop him, if I didn't end this once and for all, He was going to keep coming until one of us broke. I thought about the journal, about Natalie's offer to testify, about all the evidence Jenna and I had been carefully compiling for months. And I realized I wasn't just defending myself anymore. I was going on the offensive. Asterisk asterisk, this is the part where you realize there's no going back, where the gloves come off and the real fight begins. If you're still watching, comment justice below and make sure you're subscribed. Check the description box for more stories like this. Because what happens next? You're not going to believe it. Asterisk asterisk. The final hearing was set for late June, almost 2 months after Trevor tried to take Lily from school. Those 2 months were the longest of my life, a strange purgatory where I was living in my house, raising my daughter, going through the motions of normal life, while preparing for a courtroom battle that would determine our entire future. Jenna and I met twice a week, sometimes more. We rehearsed my testimony until I could recite it in my sleep. We organized evidence into neat binders with color-coded tabs. We prepared for every possible angle Trevor's lawyer might take. And we waited for Natalie. She'd agreed to testify, but I didn't fully believe it until the morning of the hearing when she showed up at the courthouse in a simple navy dress, her hair pulled back, looking nervous but determined. "I'm here," she said when she saw me. "I'm really here." I nodded. I still didn't fully trust her. Maybe I never would, but in that moment, I was grateful. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Wood-paneled walls, rows of benches, a raised platform where Judge Hollis sat like an avenging angel. Trevor was already there with Douglas Mercer, looking confident in a charcoal suit. His parents sat behind him, along with Kyle and Vanessa. A show of family solidarity. My side was smaller. Just me, Jenna, and, surprisingly, my Uncle Dennis. He'd called me 2 weeks earlier, his voice thick with shame. "Elena, I need to apologize. What I said at that dinner party. It was inexcusable. I don't know what I was thinking. I guess I was trying to fit in with Trevor's family, trying to be funny, and I wasn't thinking about you. About what you'd been through." I'd wanted to hang up on him. But something stopped me. "I raised you better than that," he'd continued. "Your mom, my sister, she'd be ashamed of me. And I'm ashamed of myself. I know I don't deserve it, but I'm asking for a chance to make it right. Let me be there for you. Please." So he was here, sitting behind me. A small gesture, but it meant something. Judge Hollis called the court to order. "We're here for the final dissolution hearing in the matter of Hartley versus Hartley," she said. "This court will determine custody arrangements, division of assets, and any applicable support payments. Mr. Mercer, you may begin." Douglas Mercer stood up, and for the next hour, he did exactly what Jenna said he would. He tried to destroy me. He painted me as vindictive, manipulative, unstable. He claimed I was alienating Lily from Trevor. He brought up times I'd been late picking Lily up from school, because of work, times I'd raised my voice, because I was human, times I'd made mistakes, because I was a single mother doing everything alone. He made it sound like I was a monster. But Jenna had prepared me for this. When it was my turn to testify, I stayed calm. I answered every question clearly, honestly. Yes, I'd made mistakes. Yes, I'd been stressed. Yes, there were days when I'd struggled. But I've never stopped loving my daughter, I said, looking directly at Judge Hollis. I've never stopped fighting for her. And I've never, not once, made her feel like she was a burden. I saw Trevor flinch. Then it was his turn. Douglas Mercer led him through a carefully scripted testimony. Trevor talked about how much he loved Lily, how he'd adopted her, how he wanted to be part of her life. He apologized for the affair, a mistake I deeply regret, and claimed he was ready to be a better father. It was a good performance. Polished. Rehearsed. And then Jenna stood up to cross-examine him. "Mr. Hartley," she said, her voice pleasant, "you've testified that you love Lily, that you've always considered her your daughter. Is that correct?" "Yes," Trevor said. "Interesting." Jenna walked over to the evidence table and picked up a document. Then can you explain this email you sent to your father on May 2nd, where you refer to Lily as another man's kid and baggage? Trevor's face went pale. That was taken out of context. What context makes it acceptable to call your adopted daughter baggage? Jenna asked. Douglas Mercer shot to his feet. Objection. Argumentative. Sustained, Judge Hollis said. But she was looking at Trevor now, her expression cold. Jenna pressed on. Mr. Hartley, you've also testified that the affair was a brief lapse in judgment. But you were involved with Ms. Brennan for 8 months, correct? Yes, Trevor said through gritted teeth. And during those 8 months, you spent approximately $30,000 of marital funds on trips, gifts, and hotel stays with Ms. Brennan. Is that correct? Yes. Did you inform your wife that you were spending this money? No. Did you ask her permission? No. So you stole from your wife to fund your affair. Objection. Douglas Mercer again. Withdrawn, Jenna said smoothly. Mr. Hartley, did you or did you not keep a journal documenting your wife's behavior over the course of your marriage? Trevor froze. The color drained from his face completely. I don't know what you're talking about. Jenna smiled. Your Honor, I'd like to submit Exhibit J. She handed the judge a binder, my photos of Trevor's journal, printed and organized. Judge Hollis started reading. Her expression grew darker with every page. Mr. Hartley, she said, did you keep this journal? Trevor looked at Douglas Mercer, who looked just as shocked. Yes. But it was private. She had no right. It was in our marital home, I said, unable to stop myself. In our house. Judge Hollis held up a hand. Mrs. Hartley, please. Mr. Mercer, do you need a recess to confer with your client? Douglas Mercer looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. Yes, Your Honor. Please. 15 minutes, Judge Hollis said. When court reconvened, Douglas Mercer looked defeated. He tried to salvage things, claimed the journal was just Trevor processing his feelings, that it didn't mean anything, but it was too late. The damage was done. Then Jenna called Natalie to the stand. Natalie walked up, placed her hand on the Bible, and swore to tell the truth. And then she did. She told the court everything. The affair, the lies Trevor had told her, the money he'd spent, the trips they'd taken. She described how he'd talked about me, the cruel jokes, the dismissive comments, the way he'd laughed about his charity case wife. And then she said the thing that broke the case wide open. Trevor told me he was planning to divorce Elena and take Lily away from her, Natalie said, her voice steady. He said Elena was an unfit mother. That she was too emotional, too unstable. He said he was documenting everything so that when the time came, he'd have proof. He called it his exit strategy. The courtroom went dead silent. Judge Hollis looked at Trevor. Mr. Hartley, do you have anything to say? Trevor stood up, his face red. She's lying. She's doing this because I ended things with her. Is that true, Ms. Brennan? Judge Hollis asked. No, Your Honor, Natalie said. I ended things with Mr. Hartley when I realized he was using me. And I'm testifying because I think Elena deserves to know the truth. And because Lily deserves a parent who actually loves her. Judge Hollis sat back in her chair. She looked at Trevor for a long moment, then at me, then at the stacks of evidence on her desk. I've seen enough, she said. I'm ready to make my ruling. My heart was pounding so hard I thought everyone could hear it. Mrs. Hartley will have primary physical custody of the minor child, Lily Hartley, Judge Hollis said. Mr. Hartley will have supervised visitation every other weekend, pending successful completion of a co-parenting course and individual therapy. Trevor started to protest, but Judge Hollis cut him off. Furthermore, Mr. Hartley will reimburse Mrs. Hartley for the $30,000 embezzled from marital accounts, plus interest. He will pay child support in the amount of $1,200 per month. The marital home will be awarded to Mrs. Hartley. Mr. Hartley will retain his retirement accounts, but will split all other assets 50-50. She looked directly at Trevor. Mr. Hartley, I'm going to be very clear with you. Your behavior throughout this marriage has been calculating, manipulative, and cruel. You adopted a child and then spent years resenting her. You betrayed your wife and then tried to destroy her reputation to cover your tracks. This court finds your conduct reprehensible. She slammed her gavel. We're adjourned. I sat there, stunned, as people started to file out. Jenna was hugging me, saying something about total victory, but I couldn't hear her. All I could hear was the ringing in my ears, the sound of my life, my real life, the one I'd fought for, finally beginning. Trevor stormed out without looking at me. His family followed, Catherine shooting me a look of pure venom. But I didn't care. I'd won. Not just the case. Not just custody. I'd won my freedom. My dignity. My future. And Trevor. He'd lost everything. If you've ever fought for something that mattered, you know this feeling. That moment when justice isn't just an idea, it's real. Comment victory if you made it this far, and check the description below for more stories like this one. Because this story? It's not over yet. Winning in court should have been the end of it. Should have been the moment where I got to close the book on Trevor Hartley and move forward with my life. But if I've learned anything from this whole nightmare, it's that men like Trevor don't go quietly. The week after the hearing, Trevor's world started to collapse in ways even I hadn't anticipated. First, there was his job. Someone, and I have my suspicions it was one of the colleagues who'd been at that disastrous dinner party, leaked the details of the divorce to Trevor's firm. Not just the affair, but the embezzlement. The fact that he'd stolen $30,000 from marital accounts. His company had a strict ethics policy. Within 3 days, Trevor was placed on administrative leave pending investigation. Within 2 weeks, he was fired. I didn't feel bad about it. Not even a little. Then there was his family. Catherine called me exactly once after the hearing. She didn't apologize. Instead, she told me I'd destroyed her son, that I was vindictive and cruel, and that I should be ashamed of myself. I listened to her rant for about 30 seconds. Then I said, Catherine, your son spent 3 years planning to destroy me and take my daughter away. He kept a journal documenting my every mistake so he could use it against me in court. He stole our money to fund his affair. And you knew. You knew he was unhappy, and instead of encouraging him to be honest with me, to try counseling, to do anything decent, you helped him strategize how to ruin me. She sputtered. I never. You did, I said. I have the emails. You and Richard both knew what he was planning, and you supported it. So don't call me vindictive. Don't call me cruel. You taught your son that women are disposable. That integrity doesn't matter. That winning is more important than being a good person. And now he's paying the price. I hung up before she could respond. It felt incredible. Richard tried a different approach. He called Jenna directly, trying to negotiate. He offered money, $25,000, if I'd agree to share custody and stop making Trevor look bad. Jenna laughed in his face. Your son made himself look bad. And that ship has sailed. Kyle and Vanessa were quieter. Vanessa actually reached out to me via text. I'm sorry for everything. I should have said something. I hope you and Lily are okay. I appreciated it, even if it was too little, too late. But the person I didn't hear from, the one who surprised me with his silence, was my Uncle Dennis. Until he showed up at my house on a Sunday afternoon, 3 weeks after the hearing. I answered the door to find him standing there, holding a box of Lily's favorite donuts from the bakery downtown. Hi, he said. He looked older than I remembered. Tired. Can I come in? I hesitated, but Lily had seen him from the living room and came running. Uncle Dennis. She hugged his legs, and he smiled, a sad, genuine smile, and handed her the donuts. "Why don't you go eat one in the kitchen, sweetheart?" I said to Lily. "Uncle Dennis and I need to talk." She skipped off, and I led Dennis to the porch. We sat on the steps, the afternoon sun warm on our faces. "I'm not here to make excuses," he said after a long silence. "What I said that night, it was unforgivable. I've been replaying it in my head every single day since." I didn't say anything. Just waited. "Your mom, my sister, she raised you alone after your dad left," Dennis continued. His voice was thick. "I watched her struggle. I watched her sacrifice everything for you. And I swore I'd always have her back, and yours. And then I sat at that table and I said the exact thing that would have broken her heart." He turned to look at me, and there were tears in his eyes. I don't know what I was thinking. I wanted to fit in with Trevor's family, I guess. Wanted to seem like one of the guys. "And I betrayed you. I betrayed your mom's memory. And I've been drowning in shame ever since." I felt my own eyes start to burn. "You hurt me, Dennis. You made me feel worthless in my own home." "I know," he said. "And I can't take it back. But I need you to know," I testified at the hearing. I wrote a letter to the judge. I told her everything I'd seen over the years. How Trevor treated you. How his family looked down on you. How you were the best mother I'd ever seen. And how Lily was lucky to have you. I blinked. "You did." "Jenna asked me to," he said. "She said it might help. And I wanted to do something to make up for what I'd done. I know it doesn't fix anything. I know you might never forgive me. But Elena," his voice cracked, "you're all the family I have left. And I don't want to lose you." I sat there, looking at this man who'd taught me to ride a bike, who'd scared off my middle school bullies, who'd been at every one of my birthdays even when no one else showed up. Who'd also, in one thoughtless moment, cut me deeper than almost anyone else had. "I don't know if I can forgive you yet," I said honestly. "But I'm willing to try." Dennis exhaled shakily. "That's more than I deserve." "Yeah," I said. "It is." We sat in silence for a while. Then Lily came bounding out, chocolate frosting on her face. "Mommy, can Uncle Dennis stay for dinner?" I looked at Dennis. He looked at me hopefully. "Yeah," I said. "He can stay." Life started to normalize, or at least, it started to find a new kind of normal. Lily adjusted better than I expected. She asked about Trevor sometimes, asked when she'd see him again, but she didn't seem particularly upset when I explained he'd see her every other weekend. "Is Daddy mad at us?" she asked one night at bedtime. "Daddy's going through some grown-up stuff," I said carefully. "But none of this is your fault, okay? Daddy loves you. He made some mistakes." It was a lie. Or at least, I wasn't sure if it was true anymore. But Lily was 8. She didn't need to carry the weight of Trevor's failures. The supervised visitations started in July. Trevor would pick up Lily on Saturday mornings and take her to a family center where a social worker observed their interactions. According to the reports Jenna forwarded to me, the visits were awkward. Trevor tried. He brought games, took her to the playground on the center's grounds, asked about school. But there was a distance between them now. Lily was polite but reserved. She didn't call him Daddy anymore, just Trevor. It broke my heart a little, even though I knew it wasn't my fault. By August, Trevor had moved into a small apartment across town. He'd found a new job, something in sales, a big step down from his previous role. His lawyer had filed an appeal of the custody ruling, but Jenna said it was a Hail Mary with almost no chance of success. "He's grasping at straws," she said. "Just ignore it." So I did. I threw myself into rebuilding my life. I got a promotion at work, senior paralegal, with a raise that meant I could finally breathe a little financially. I redecorated Trevor's old office, turning it into a reading nook for Lily. I started therapy to process everything that had happened. And slowly, painfully, I started to heal. But the universe wasn't done with me yet. In September, 3 months after the hearing, I got a call from Natalie. "Elena," she said, "I need to tell you something." My stomach dropped. "What now?" He's been contacting me again. A lot. Angry messages, mostly. Blaming me for ruining his life. Saying I destroyed his marriage, his career, his reputation. "Jesus," I muttered. "I'm sorry, Natalie." "That's not why I'm calling," she said. "I'm calling because yesterday, he showed up at my apartment." My blood ran cold. "He what?" "He was drunk," Natalie said, her voice shaking. "Banging on my door, shouting. My neighbors called the police. They took him away, but Elena, he's spiraling. And I'm scared he's going to do something stupid." "Did he threaten you?" I asked. "Not explicitly," Natalie said. "But the way he was talking, he blames you for everything. For the divorce, for losing his job, for his family turning on him. He said you destroyed him." I closed my eyes. "I need to call Jenna." "There's one more thing," Natalie said. "When the police took him away, he was saying something about making sure you pay. Elena, I think you need to be careful." After I hung up, I immediately called Jenna and told her everything. She filed an emergency restraining order that afternoon. By the next morning, Trevor was legally prohibited from coming within 500 feet of me, Lily, or our home. I also installed security cameras, changed the locks again, started parking in the garage instead of the driveway. I told myself I was being paranoid, that Trevor was all bark and no bite, that he wouldn't actually do anything. But late at night, when the house was quiet and Lily was asleep, I'd lie awake and wonder, what if I was wrong? The incident happened on a Tuesday in late September. I just picked up Lily from school and we were driving home, singing along to some pop song on the radio, when I noticed the car behind us. A dark blue sedan. Familiar. Trevor's car. My hands tightened on the wheel. "Lily, honey, let's play the quiet game, okay?" "Okay." She fell silent, proud of herself. I watched the rearview mirror. Trevor was following us. Not even trying to be subtle about it. I didn't go home. Instead, I drove to the police station downtown, my heart hammering the entire way. Trevor followed me all the way there. And when I pulled into the parking lot, he pulled in behind me. I locked the doors. "Lily, stay in the car and don't unlock the doors for anyone but me, okay?" "Mommy, I'm scared," she said. "I know, baby. It's going to be okay." I got out of the car and walked straight toward the police station entrance. Trevor got out of his car and followed me. "Elena," he shouted. "Elena, we need to talk. You're violating a restraining order." I called back, not stopping. "I don't care." He was catching up. "You ruined my life. You took everything from me." I reached the door and pulled it open. 2 officers were standing just inside, alerted by the commotion. One of them said. "This man has a restraining order against him," I said, my voice shaking. "He just followed me and my daughter from her school." The officers moved past me immediately. "Sir, stop right there." Trevor stopped. He looked wild, unshaven, disheveled, his eyes red-rimmed. "She's lying. She's always lying. She destroyed my entire life." "Sir, we're going to need you to calm down," the officer said. "I'm not calming down." Trevor shouted. "She took my daughter. She took my house. She turned everyone against me. All because I made one mistake." "One mistake," I said, anger overriding my fear. "You had an affair for 8 months. You stole $30,000. You kept a journal planning to destroy me. Because you deserved it." Trevor screamed. The officers grabbed him. "Sir, you're under arrest for violating a restraining order." Trevor fought them. "Get off me. Elena, this isn't over. Do you hear me? This isn't over." They wrestled him into handcuffs and dragged him toward a patrol car. I stood there, shaking, as they put him in the back seat. One of the officers came back to me. "Are you all right?" "No," I said honestly. "But I will be." Trevor spent 2 nights in jail. When he was released, the judge extended the restraining order to 3 years and ordered him to attend anger management counseling. His supervised visitation with Lily was suspended indefinitely. His lawyer tried to argue that Trevor was just emotional and overwhelmed, but the judge wasn't having it. "Mr. Hartley, you had every opportunity to handle this situation like an adult," she said. "Instead, you've chosen to harass, intimidate, and threaten. You will stay away from your ex-wife and your daughter until you can prove you're not a danger to them. Do I make myself clear?" Trevor just stared at the floor. "Do I make myself clear?" the judge repeated. "Yes," he muttered. After that, things finally went quiet. Really quiet. Trevor moved out of state, to Arizona, I heard through the grapevine. Got a job selling insurance. Stopped contacting me. Stopped contacting Lily. For the first few months, I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. For him to show up again, to violate the restraining order, to escalate. But he never did. Eventually, I stopped checking the security cameras obsessively. Stopped jumping at every unexpected sound. Stopped living in fear. Lily started asking about Trevor less and less. By Christmas, she'd stopped asking at all. And slowly, painfully, beautifully slowly, we started to build a new life. Just the two of us. ***, if you've ever had to fight for your peace, for your safety, for your right to just **exist without someone trying to tear you down, you know how hard it is. But you also know how worth it is. Drop a freedom in the comments if this resonates with you. And check the description below for more stories of survival and strength. A year after the divorce was finalized, I stood in my kitchen, my **own kitchen, in my **own house, and realized something profound. I was happy. Not the fake, performative happiness I'd tried to project during my marriage. Not the everything is fine smile I'd plastered on while my world crumbled. Real, genuine, bone-deep happiness. Lily was at the table doing homework, humming to herself. The evening sun streamed through the windows I'd repainted last month, a soft yellow instead of the cold grey Trevor had insisted on. There were photos on the fridge, Lily and me at the coast, at her soccer games, at her 9th birthday party where she'd laughed so hard she'd snorted juice out of her nose. This was my life now. Small, quiet, *mine. The year hadn't been easy. There were nights I'd cried myself to sleep, grieving not for Trevor but for the life I'd thought I'd have. The intact family. The security. The illusion of forever. There were moments of panic when bills came due and I worried I couldn't cover everything on my own. Before I remembered I'd been covering everything on my own for years. Trevor had just been an expensive, critical roommate. There were times Lily asked about Trevor, and I had to swallow my anger and give her age-appropriate answers that didn't poison her against her father, even though he'd earned every drop of poison I could have given. But there were also moments of pure, unexpected joy. Like the first time I bought furniture, a couch, my choice, not Trevor's, and didn't have to ask permission or justify the expense. Like the Saturday mornings Lily and I spent making elaborate breakfasts and eating them in our pajamas, no one around to judge or criticize or make passive-aggressive comments. Like the night I went on my first post-divorce date, set up by a coworker, nothing serious, and realized I could talk about my life, my interests, my dreams without someone interrupting or dismissing or making it about them. I'd started painting again, something I'd loved in college but abandoned because Trevor said it was impractical. Now my dining room had become a makeshift studio, and on weekends, Lily and I would paint together, making messes and laughing and not caring if we got it perfect. I'd joined a book club, made new friends, women who'd been through their own divorces, their own betrayals, their own resurrections. We met twice a month, drank wine, talked about books and life and everything in between. I'd even started dating someone. Nothing serious yet, but his name was Owen. He worked as a high school history teacher, and he thought it was amazing that I was a single mom. Not baggage. Not a liability. Amazing. The first time he said that, I cried. He'd held me and said, "Hey, what's wrong?" And I'd said, "Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm not used to someone thinking I'm amazing." "Well, get used to it," he'd said, smiling. Lily was thriving too. Her grades were good. She'd made the school soccer team. She had friends, playdates, birthday parties to attend. And most importantly, she'd stopped walking on eggshells. I hadn't even realized she'd been doing it during the marriage, keeping quiet when Trevor was in a bad mood, trying to be good, apologizing for things that weren't her fault. Now she was loud, opinionated, messy, joyful. Everything a 9-year-old should be. One night, she crawled into bed with me and said, "Mom, I'm glad it's just us." My heart clenched. "Yeah, baby. Yeah," she said. "It's better this way. Quieter. Happier." I kissed the top of her head. "I'm glad too." She was quiet for a moment, then, "Do you think Trevor will ever come back?" I hesitated. Trevor had moved to Arizona over a year ago. As far as I knew, he'd started over, new job, new life. He hadn't contacted us. Hadn't asked about Lily. Hadn't sent birthday cards or Christmas presents. Part of me was relieved. Part of me was furious on Lily's behalf. "I don't know, honey," I said honestly. "But if he doesn't, that's okay. We're okay. We have each other, and we have people who love us. That's enough." Lily nodded against my shoulder. "I think so too." But life, as it turns out, wasn't quite done throwing curveballs at me. In early November, 18 months after the divorce, I got a LinkedIn message from someone I never expected to hear from again, Trevor's brother, Kyle. Elena, I know I don't have the right to ask you for anything, but I need to talk to you. It's about Trevor. Please. I stared at the message for a long time, debating whether to respond. Finally, curiosity won out. I messaged back, "What about him? His response came within minutes. "Can we meet in person? There's something you need to know. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet him at a coffee shop downtown. Neutral territory. Public. Safe. Kyle looked different. Older. Maybe. Tired. When I sat down across from him, he didn't waste time with pleasantries. "Trevor's in the hospital," he said. I blinked. "What?" "He's been in Arizona for over a year," Kyle said. "And things haven't been good for him. He lost his job again a few months ago. Started drinking heavily. Last week, he stopped, his jaw working. He tried to kill himself." The words hit me like a physical blow. Oh my God. "He's stable now," Kyle said quickly. "He's in a psychiatric facility, getting help. But Elena, he's broken. Completely broken. And part of that is his own fault, I know that. But part of it." He looked at me. "Part of it is everything that happened." I felt a complicated swirl of emotions: shock, sadness, anger, guilt. "Kyle, I'm sorry he's struggling. I really am. But I didn't do this to him. He did this to himself." "I know," Kyle said. "I'm not blaming you. I'm really not. I just thought you should know. Because..." He hesitated. "Because he wants to talk to you." "Absolutely not," I said immediately. "Elena." "No," I said firmly. "I have a restraining order against him. And even if I didn't, Kyle, he spent years manipulating me, betraying me, planning to destroy me. He followed me to a police station and screamed at me in front of our daughter. I'm sorry he's hurting, but I am not responsible for his mental health. And I'm not putting myself or Lily at risk by engaging with him. Kyle nodded slowly. I understand. I do. But I need to tell you something else. What? He's been going to therapy. Real therapy, not court-ordered bullshit. And he's been working through stuff. Stuff about his childhood, his relationship with our parents, his issues with control and self-worth. And he's realized, or he's starting to realize, how badly he treated you. Good for him, I said flatly. He wrote you a letter, Kyle said. I'm not supposed to give it to you. Technically it violates the restraining order. But I think you should read it. You don't have to respond. You don't have to do anything with it. But I think you deserve to hear what he has to say. He pulled an envelope out of his jacket and slid it across the table. I stared at it like it was a live grenade. I don't want it. Please, Kyle said. Just read it. If you still want nothing to do with him after, I'll never bring it up again. I swear. I didn't take the envelope. But I didn't push it back either. Kyle stood up. I'm sorry, Elena. For everything. For not standing up for you when I should have. For laughing along with the jokes. For being complicit in my family's cruelty. You deserved better. You still do. He left the envelope on the table and walked out. I sat there for a long time, staring at it. Then I picked it up, shoved it in my purse, and went home. I didn't open the letter for 3 days. It sat on my nightstand, taunting me, while I debated whether I even wanted to know what Trevor had to say. Finally, late one night after Lily was asleep, I opened it. The handwriting was shaky. Messy. Not the confident, bold script I remembered. Asterisk Elena, asterisk. Asterisk I don't know if you'll even read this. I don't know if you should. But I need to say it anyway. Asterisk. Asterisk I'm sorry. Asterisk. Asterisk I know that's not enough. I know those words can't undo what I did. But I need you to hear them. I'm sorry for the affair. I'm sorry for lying to you, for stealing from you, for planning to destroy you. I'm sorry for what I said about Lily. I'm sorry for every cruel word, every dismissive comment, every time I made you feel small. Asterisk. Asterisk I've spent the last year blaming you for everything that went wrong in my life. I told myself you ruined me. That you were vindictive and vengeful. That you were the villain in this story. Asterisk. Asterisk but the truth is, I ruined myself. I destroyed my own life because I was too much of a coward to be honest. With you, with myself, with anyone. Asterisk. Asterisk I'm in therapy now. Real therapy. And I'm starting to understand why I did what I did. My parents raised me to believe that image was everything, that admitting mistakes was weakness, that people, especially women, were either assets or liabilities. And I treated you like a liability. Like something I had to manage and control. Asterisk. Asterisk but you were never a liability, Elena. You were the best thing that ever happened to me, and I was too broken to see it. Asterisk. Asterisk I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I want you to know that I see now what I couldn't see then. You are strong, you are incredible, and Lily is lucky to have you as a mother. Asterisk. Asterisk I'm sorry I wasn't the man you deserved. I'm sorry I wasn't the father Lily deserved. And I'm sorry it took losing everything for me to realize what I had. Asterisk. Asterisk I hope you're happy. I hope you've built a beautiful life without me. You deserve that and so much more. Asterisk. Asterisk. Trevor. Asterisk. I read it twice. Then I folded it up, put it back in the envelope, and shoved it in the back of my desk drawer. I didn't cry. I didn't feel triumphant. I just felt tired. And maybe, buried under the exhaustion, the tiniest flicker of something that might, someday, turn into forgiveness. But not yet. Not today. Asterisk. Asterisk healing isn't linear. And forgiveness isn't mandatory. Sometimes survival is enough. If you're still here, still listening, thank you. Check the description below for more stories about real life, real struggle, and real strength. It's been 3 years since that dinner party. 3 years since Natalie stood up and said the words that changed everything. 3 years since my life imploded and I had to build it back from scratch. I'm 37 now. Lily is 11. And our life looks nothing like what I thought it would be, but it's better than I ever imagined. Trevor and I have no contact. The restraining order expired, but we've maintained complete silence. He's still in Arizona as far as I know. According to Kyle, who checks in with me occasionally, trying to repair the bridge he helped burn, Trevor is doing better. Sober. Still in therapy. Working a steady job. I'm glad. Not for his sake, but because it means he's not my problem anymore. Lily doesn't talk about him much. Once in a while she'll ask a question. Do you think Trevor ever thinks about me? Or why doesn't he call? And I answer as honestly as I can without crushing her. I think he does think about you, I tell her. But sometimes grown-ups make choices that don't make sense to us. And sometimes the best thing we can do is focus on the people who are here for us. She seems to accept that. Owen and I are still together. We've been dating for 2 years now, and it's easy, comfortable. He's patient with Lily, respectful of my boundaries, and has never once made me feel like I'm lucky to be with him. Instead, he makes me feel like we're lucky to have found each other. Last month, he asked if he could move in. I said no, not yet. Maybe someday, but right now, this house is mine and Lily's, and we need that stability. He understood completely. Whenever you're ready, he said. I'm not going anywhere. That's how I know he's different. My career has taken off in ways I never expected. I'm not just a paralegal anymore. I went back to school part-time and got my paralegal certification upgraded, specializing in family law. Now I work with Jenna's firm, helping other women navigate divorces, custody battles, restraining orders. I've become the person I needed 3 years ago. Every time a new client sits across from me, scared and broken and convinced their life is over, I tell them my story. Not all of it, just enough to let them know I understand. That I've been where they are. And that they will survive this. Some of them cry. Some of them just nod. But all of them leave a little stronger than when they came in. It's the most meaningful work I've ever done. Natalie and I have an unexpected friendship now. It took a long time, months of awkward coffee dates and careful conversations, but we got there. She's engaged now, to a genuinely good guy who knows everything about her past and loves her anyway. She sent me a wedding invitation last month. I'm going. Because here's what I've learned. People make mistakes. Sometimes terrible, life-altering mistakes. But some people, not all, but some, actually learn from them. Actually grow. Actually become better. Natalie's one of those people. She volunteers now at a women's shelter, helping women leaving abusive relationships. She's studying to be a social worker. She's doing the work. And while I'll never forget what she did, I've chosen to focus on who she's becoming. My uncle Dennis and I are close again. It took time, years of rebuilding trust, of him showing up consistently, of him proving through actions that he changed. He's Lily's favorite relative now. He comes over every Sunday for dinner. He helps with homework. He shows up at her soccer games wearing ridiculous team spirit gear and cheering louder than anyone else. Last Father's Day, Lily made him a card. To the best uncle in the world, it said. He cried. Trevor's parents, Richard and Catherine, tried to reconnect with Lily a few times through lawyers, asking for grandparent visitation rights. Jenna shut it down immediately. You stood by while your son destroyed this family, I told them through my lawyer. You participated in his plan to destroy me. You don't get access to my daughter. I haven't heard from them since. 6 months ago, I did something I never thought I'd do. I started a blog. It's called Used Products, after my uncle's terrible comment that night. I write about single motherhood, divorce, rebuilding your life after betrayal. I share resources for women going through custody battles, financial advice for newly single moms, therapeutic techniques that helped me heal. It started small, just me, venting into the void. But it grew. Now I have thousands of followers. Women from all over the country send me messages thanking me, telling me my story gave them courage, sharing their own stories of survival. Last month, a literary agent reached out. She wants me to write a book. I'm considering it. But the most important thing, the thing that matters more than anything else, is this: I'm free. Free from the constant anxiety of wondering if I was good enough, if I was doing enough, if I was enough. Free from walking on eggshells, from managing someone else's emotions, from shrinking myself to make space for someone else's ego. Free from the man who looked at me and saw baggage instead of strength. Who looked at my daughter and saw a problem instead of a gift. I'm free. And I'm happy. And I've taught my daughter, through every choice I've made, every battle I've fought, that she never has to accept being treated as less than she's worth. Last week, Lily asked me a question while we were painting in the dining room. Mom, do you think you'll ever get married again? I thought about it. Maybe, I said. Someday. If I meet the right person. But I don't need to get married to be happy. I'm already happy. She nodded, considering this. I think you're brave, she said. I laughed. Brave? Why? Because you were sad, and then you made yourself sad. That's brave. I set down my paintbrush and pulled her into a hug. You know what's braver? Being kind even when people hurt you. Being strong even when you're scared. Being yourself even when people tell you you're not enough. You're brave too, Lily. You're the bravest person I know. She hugged me back, getting blue paint all over both of us, and we laughed. So that's my story. The story of how my husband mocked me at a dinner party, how his mistress exposed him, and how I fought my way back to a life worth living. It's not a fairy tale. There's no perfect ending, no moment where everything tied up with a neat bow. But it's real. It's mine. And I survived it. If you're watching this, and you're in a situation like I was, trapped, undervalued, treated like you're lucky just to be tolerated, I want you to know something. You are not baggage. You are not a used product. You are not someone else's mess to clean up. You are enough. Exactly as you are. And you deserve so much more than settling for someone who makes you feel otherwise. It won't be easy. Leaving, rebuilding, fighting for yourself, it's the hardest thing you'll ever do. But it's also the most important. Because on the other side of that fear, that pain, that battle, there's freedom. There's peace. There's a life that's authentically, beautifully yours. And trust me, it's worth every single fight. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey. If this story moved you, if it helped you, if it made you feel less alone, leave a comment below. Tell me where you're watching from. Share your own story if you're comfortable. And please, check the description box below for more stories about survival, strength, and the unbreakable spirit of women who refuse to stay silent. Hit that subscribe button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, you are so much stronger than you think. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And thank you for believing that we all deserve better.